A special thank you to each of our subscribers who make this channel possible. Here's today's story. In a landmark case that could reshape the landscape of online copyright enforcement, the Supreme Court of the United States deliberated on the liability of Internet Service Providers, ISPs, during oral arguments held on Monday. The case, which has drawn significant attention from both the music industry and technology sectors, centers around whether Cox Communications should be held accountable for the copyright infringements committed by its users. The outcome of this case could have profound implications for how online piracy is managed and policed, a pressing issue that has long frustrated content creators and record labels alike. The legal battle traces back to a series of lawsuits filed by major record labels, including Sony Music, against Cox Communications, claiming that the ISP failed to act against nearly 60,000 of its subscribers who were found to be accessing pirated music between 2013 and 2014. The record labels argue that despite receiving multiple notices regarding copyright violations, Cox did not take adequate measures to terminate the accounts of these infringing users. A federal jury previously ruled that Cox was liable for willful contributory infringement, but an appellate court later overturned the ruling on vicarious liability, leading to the current Supreme Court appeal. Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson expressed concerns that a ruling in favor of Cox could create a legal precedent that effectively shields ISPs from responsibility for piracy occurring on their networks. She pointed out that the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, DMCA, of 1998 was intended to incentivize cooperation between ISPs and copyright holders by imposing potential liability risks. Jackson noted, even though there isn't secondary liability in the statute, it appears as though Congress sought to use the liability risk that exists in the common law to incentivize this cooperation. Cox's attorney, Joshua Rosencrantz, countered that Congress did not fully understand the ramifications of liability when the DMCA was enacted, arguing that the law does not impose a strict obligation on ISPs to monitor user activity. He emphasized that the technological landscape has evolved significantly since the DMCA's passage, making it difficult for lawmakers to create clear guidelines for liability. The record labels maintain that Cox's response to copyright infringement was insufficient, arguing that the ISP had a 14-strike policy for terminating accounts but failed to follow through on this policy for numerous users. Paul Clement, representing the music labels, highlighted the concept of willful blindness in the law, suggesting that Cox's inaction in response to repeated notices of infringement could be interpreted as aiding and abetting copyright violations. Justice Elena Kagan questioned whether ISPs could simply ignore notices of infringement, raising concerns about the potential for abuse of such a practice. Meanwhile, Justice Neil Gorsuch cautioned against expanding the definition of secondary liability without clear guidance from Congress, emphasizing the need for caution in interpreting the law. As the justices deliberate, the stakes remain high for both the music industry and internet providers. A ruling in favor of the record labels could compel ISPs to adopt stricter measures to monitor and enforce copyright compliance, potentially leading to increased accountability for user actions. Conversely, a decision favoring Cox could significantly limit the liability of ISPs, raising concerns among content creators about the effectiveness of current copyright enforcement mechanisms. The Supreme Court is expected to issue its decision later this summer, and the implications of this case will undoubtedly reverberate throughout the digital landscape. As the debate continues, stakeholders from various sectors await the ruling that could redefine the responsibilities of internet providers in the age of digital content consumption. That's all for this story. We upload videos every day covering many different subjects, so hit that subscribe button to stay informed. Thanks for watching.